Hey there, I'm Parker X. I led tech for a startup that did well over $50 million until we sold. After that, I built a bunch of different ideas that weren't so good, but the tech was fantastic. Used AI pretty much every day for the last 3 years. And on this channel, this is a daily upload channel. I go through what I'm doing and what I'm seeing in the field that's working by selling AI services and implementations into businesses. So we have a couple different sections that we go through, and the go basically with questions and answers, and those are taken from either YouTube or our community, which is called Trouble Free. It is not just a community for gating AI prompts. It's more of like a research lab is kind of the way we're positioning it. So people that are learning stuff, they share it in there and it's awesome. And then we reinvest the profits back into more research, more content, all that. Here for the long term. So we have some Q&A. We had a question about how to do meeting bookings, automations, meeting booking automation. This is a good newbie friendly one. That's one of the questions. What else did we have? We're going to do, I didn't really have much news to cover, but we can just check. We'll do a quick news check just to see if there is anything interesting. And the way I typically do that is I have a couple sources so you can see in there. On the strategy side, we're going to be going through planning and automation that I got from a client that I closed yesterday. So it's planning and automation for basically lead gen. And that's going to include IG, which is Instagram, and then Instagram to some sort of DB that could be a G Sheet, and then longer term, actually doing the outreach with tracking. So if you're familiar with my videos and you've seen in the past that I like to just list out what are the steps in detail of what needs to happen in order to do the automation. You don't actually start in any sort of code or no code tool like Make. Then on the building side, if we have time for it, we're going to do a content pipeline update. And the tension here is that you see these content pipelines and you have these long videos where you go and it's like 90 minutes or even 30 minutes and you're working your way through it. And some YouTubers, got 500,000 views on a video about this is the content system that I use and it's fantastic. And then they get to the end and it just looks awful. It's a piece of content, whether it's an image or a video or text that you would never want to read. So it's very obvious that it's AI generated, and that's not good. So that's the tension and what I'm attempting to do with my content pipeline is to make it very authentic, make it clear that it is me that's doing the edits, writing the copy, all these things. So it's going to take a lot of tuning, a lot of prompting, and frankly, a lot of examples. So there won't be a lot of people that can just pick this up and have it work because they don't have a lot of content on the internet to begin with. So we'll cover that. And then I realized I might have missed a couple. I wanted to also plan as part of the pipeline, not actually building it, but we will do the plan for TikTok, which includes some sort of G sheet of creators. So I've seen some creators on TikTok and I'm interested in reverse engineering their funnels to ultimately drive more traffic to my ecosystem, we'll call it. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about guarantees. Guarantees, because Alex Hormozi is a G. And I think by adding guarantees to your services business that you can win. So I have music playing right now, so I need to turn that off and then I can unmute our scene. So let's do that real quick. Okay.
Those guys can for sure deliver those. And so maybe there's like two tiers that you can sell. You have another product on the ad side or the media side. It's just something to consider. Money back. They want the roof. And so they just want to know that you care enough to make sure the roof gets delivered.
We can
And
pull
so
our
that's
book
really
out.
the solve for the guarantee is it just pays down risk of them not getting what they want. And so as long as that gets accomplished, you don't have to do it with money back. You can just do it with some money back that gets them to say yes. Does that help?
Does. Thank you.
Perfect. So he wanted a better offer despite all of those improvements. And I was like, okay, I think I can think of something for you. So if you look inside the offers book, page 125, I talk about guarantees. And so this is the guarantee formula. And so whenever you're thinking about adding a guarantee, like this is what I think through. So if you don't X in Y time, we will Z. Like that is fundamentally what a guarantee is. And most people, I would see a lot of times people just say, I guarantee it. But that doesn't mean anything. You have to say what the terms of the guarantee are on a timeline. What do I get if you don't perform? Right. And so with this business, and some people use like, well, I can't give a money back guarantee because I would just lose too much money. Understandable. Now, if you have hard costs like he does, then what we can do is we can just give something else. We can either a lesser portion of money, we can give something else for free. And so the guarantee is a consideration. It's what are we going to do to show you that we're just as invested as you in the outcome being positive, right? And so we basically we shift some of the risk from the customer onto us. And this is all you're doing as a business when you do a guarantee is they take some risk of buying and you're saying, no, I'm going to take some of that risk. And so sure, you could take 100%, but in this situation, he'd be taking like 200% of the risk. Basically, he'd be losing money, right? And so the idea is, again, you can add stuff. So, hey, if you don't get what you want, I can add things, which is like, hey, if you don't hit your goal, I'll add more time, which does work as a sales tool. Sometimes though, in the real world, if someone's not getting a result, they're like, I don't want any more from you. I hate you, right? And so it does still work as a sale, but it's one of those like mid, right? Now, alternatively, you can go the reverse direction, which is take away negative, which is a discount, right? So, hey, I can't give you all your money back, but I can give you back my gross profit, or I can give it back 20%, or I can give you back 10%, right? These are all things that you can choose to give back. And the thing is it just shows that you have skin in the game. And all we have to think about, and this is the point of a guarantee, so I want to make sure I'm very clear here. The point of a guarantee is not to have the craziest guarantee. The point of a guarantee is to maximize net conversions. All right, so we just need to increase sales more than we increase refunds. So proportionally, we net more sales. And if you can just do 10% back, then that's enough to change behavior. And that's the point. Like if there's no difference between giving 25% back and giving 100% back in terms of the actual performance of the sale, then give 25. And so you can move what you're guaranteeing in order to find the sweet spot and figure out what's actually compelling to your customer. And most times, the things that you want to guarantee around are their biggest fears. In home services stuff, it's usually around time and around budget. Right? Are they getting it done on time? Are they getting it on budget? If it's other services, it might be different than that. And so you'll know your services better, but you want to list out what their biggest fears are and then crush those with the guarantee.
Okay.
Alex.
Hello?
That is straight fire, right? So with that in mind, let me put my tune back on. Wish I could play these, but anyways. Yeah, with that in mind, it's basically getting ahead of any sort of doubts. One of the things that I saw from one of the popular automation agency guys was this idea of an exploratory milestone. And so I'm testing this with clients now. I haven't had to use it, but I think for people that are not as warm, it would make a lot of sense. And for larger projects. So I've done projects in the past where it's like a $20,000 deal. And when you do one of those, unless it's super warm and the person really knows you really trust you, it just takes a little bit more work. There's going to be some fears involved. So I think having an exploratory milestone also, it helps you. So it helps them because they're getting more confidence that things are going to go well and that you're going to learn more about it. And it's not as big of a upfront payment. And you go and then basically do a little bit more research on it. So if it'd be a dev project, then it'd be going in, opening up the files, seeing what's going on, rather than just a little bit of work, but it's paid. So maybe you'd set some sort of rule, which is if it's over $1,000, then we do this exploratory milestone. It's typically how we do it. So we have skin in the game. It's call it 25% of the contract size. So maybe it's $250 down. We turn it around in 72 hours. And then you get that discounted against the total build out. So you could do that in addition to some sort of guarantee, but these are just things that I'm thinking about as I am scaling and growing this to $100,000 a month. So, okay, let's talk about a meeting booking automation. I think I saw one of these yesterday. Let's see. We go to make.com and they need to fix their auth. Every time I go to the website, I'm never brought to the right place. So let's go in here and you can see this has just been some me like playing around with different ideas for the content thing. For client work, you actually do it on their account. Let's see. If I go to templates, should be able to find one in here. Let's type in, there's syncing a Notion database to a calendar now. Creating a calendar of events from Notion. Well, what typically would happen is if you're building it out, it just depends on the client. Like think about it. If you let's do a couple of examples for meeting booking automations, and that way we can answer our question for I believe his name is Jared. Let's double check. Yeah, Jared. So he had asked about that. Cool. So let's talk about meeting bookings. So it depends on what the person wants, but typically most cases will be that I hit this button and then everything screws up. Most cases will be is that you're driving traffic to a website and there's a form on the website and that's the way it's done. They fill out some information and then they can book a meeting, right? So it might not even need any sort of automation, right? So if you just have this form and you're driving traffic to it and there's just this big old thing and there's like a call to action and then they enter in their email. That's one way where if you wanted to do like a two-stepper, which let's call it like, cool, you've driven in cold traffic, they're getting some sort of freebie that would kick them off into some sort of email funnel. And then you are running a sequence of maybe like 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 14. So this would be 6 emails, hammering them with the value. I don't necessarily like this. Then all of those would have a cal.com link in it, right? So depending again on what the company does. In my case, cal.com works really well. You can see one example is on this website called Midday AI. If I click talk to founders, I'm just brought right to here, right? So this would be, if they didn't even have this, you just go to cal.com, great company. You'd set this up with the availability. You'd make sure it's synced to their calendar. Ta-da, there's another provider. HubSpot has one, HubSpot calendar. You can just go in there. You can use the Zoom appointment scheduler. But at the end of the day, it's all pretty much the same. You basically just want to increase the conversion rate, the number of meetings booked. So if you can just bring them straight to a booking link, that's great too. But it just depends on how you're driving them in, right? Like if I'm making a video that is wide top of funnel, like I'm talking about AI implementation, and this would be for you if you're selling it, right? But if I'm just talking about this is like the thing that I'm selling and I'm doing a video on, 5 AI tips for dentist offices. And if I'm talking about that, then I'd be plugging throughout the video. This is like, a client, an example client, theoretical client. If you're trying to land them, this dentist office is watching them explain these tips, then your offer would be the AI implementation, whatever these tips are. Then you could drive them to some freebie, right? So it'd be if you want to see the other 25, you can go here. If you want to know the tools database with all my favorite stuff of what I do for other clients, go here. Or if you want to book a call, then I would just avoid even sending them here, right? So that's one big part of it. Like this would be the freebie where you're not trying to just straight close, but you want to maybe offer them something else. This would be option 1. And then option 2 would be a squeeze page or a booking page rather. So it'd be like, dentist.com/book. And it would just be a calendar embed. So instead of that example with Midday where it kicked me to a different page, the reason he's doing that is because he's very much into the aesthetic He doesn't want to have that be there, but I would actually recommend not doing that because I think he's losing out on potential leads. Like you can see traffic's been going down. He should probably be, I mean, if it's talk to founders is not probably his most high leverage thing, he probably is pushing trials. That's actually probably why. If you're just trying to push meeting bookings, then you make it the most prominent thing. Trying to think of another example. Let's see. Well, the Hormozy landing page example is really good. So if I look at this, oops, I go to his video and I
There are 3
unmute.
landing pages that we use most commonly, which is headline, subheadline, content info, submit. Same thing except with an image. Same thing with an image and then 3 bullets. Those are the 3 most common layouts I use. Pick one of them and all you got to do is test it. And the nice thing is the simpler the landing page, the fewer variables you have to test, you can quickly improve it. It also gives the person who's clicking to that page fewer things to do. They said they wanted the thing, they go to the page says, here's the thing you said you wanted. They're like, yeah, I guess I did want it.
Cool. So that's what I would recommend doing is either one of these. But yeah, it's not even an automation. Like that'll just land on the calendar. If you need to automate it, then you can go grab one of those make templates. Cool. When it comes to the news check, we're going to skip that because I don't think it's worth the time. Planning and automation for lead gen. Cool. Let's do this one. So the client comes and they say, this is like every client on the planet, but they come in and they say, hey, I have this app and I need help driving traffic. So, right. What do they have? They have the app and they have some money they need to spend to be able to drive the signups. So they want to go where their customers are, which in this case is IG. Then they give some demographics. So in my case, it is this. It's people with followings from 5 to 50K, and we want them in the US. We also want them to have a link in bio, maybe like a link tree, because we can probably leverage that to enrich the data that we're getting. So that's the first step, right? First step is we want to go get this. We want to build a list of, let's call it like a 10K list. And so what we do is we're just listing out all these things that we want. We want their email if possible. We want their location if possible. We want to look at everything that's possible to get. We also then want to, once we have this, if we can scrape through, we can get some other stuff. But that would be like step 1 is we're building this list. And then step 2 would be actually automating the outreach of them. So I would be selling these as different pieces because it's crawl, walk, run, especially with somebody cold. And you can do it on Upwork with milestones. If you're not using Upwork, then you can just do it in a verbal fashion with a proposal, right? It's the same thing. This would be the roadmap that you provide. So I might sell this for $1,000, $500, not sure. Depends on the client, depends on how much work I think is there and their budget. So we have that. And then we're going to use Instantly.ai. That will handle the email campaign. My thing is I don't think that that's going to convert that great. That's what they want to do, but clients don't always know what's best. They're coming to you for help. And that's what will differentiate you on what the ultimate like lifetime value of the customer will go up if you can come back and say, hey, I've done this before. I actually think that you should do it this way. So you're providing strategy, right? And on this call in particular, client came in, or I guess they're prospect at this point. They come into the call. By the end of the call, they're saying, we should work together. Super excited, super inspired. You're clearly overqualified. This is like the bucket of gold on the rainbow. Like, why are you on Upwork? Basically it. And I gave him kind of the reality, which is like, I'm building a bunch of agents, testing these different use cases such that I can build agents. And he's like, wow, we need to work together. But that's a tip just for working with clients in general is don't just be the hands. Anyone can be the hands. They could get anyone in the world. Why are they choosing you? Be different. Have confidence in it. You get confidence not from yelling at yourself in the mirror, but from actually doing things over and over and over. So it's experience, and you get experience by just putting in the sets and the reps. So in this case, he wants this Instantly AI thing. And so I'd have to check, like, do we need to warm up the account? So that'd be a piece just to like call out maybe a potential rabbit hole. We'd probably test messaging. And something I'd want to wonder here is what about like is there someone associated with this? Because this type of person that we're doing outreach on is maybe managed by somebody. So you can guess, it's kind of talent management. So is there a manager available? But we don't know. We might be looking at, like, if this is a creator platform, let's take, for example, if this was a creator type and we'd look at someone in the space, right? So I would look and I'd see, let's see, how can I get to a creator? Powered by AI. How do I find a creator? Top creator agencies. I just want to see someone's profile. How do I see a profile? Learn about brands. For brands? I just literally want to see beacons, AI, influencer. All-in-one creator platform. Okay. Let's find somebody that is on the platform so we can see an example of it. Straight from New York. Here's this girl. She's a GM. Maybe this girl talks about it somewhere. No. Well, I was looking for an example of a like all the different pieces of data you could get about whatever. So in this case, instantly, something I would ask, this is just an unknown, is, I'd want to ask, like, our to do would be possibility of omni-channel outreach. And this is something I'd put in the proposal that I send. So I know we're going to work together, but a verbal is different than actually getting money. So I could close on what I think makes sense. Like, if I basically wanted to close that second, I'd just say, yeah, we can do exactly what you want. But I actually want to deliver results. And so I'm coming back, probably cost more, but it's answering a bigger question of how do you fix this company's lead gen and demand gen. So cool campaign. We're going to use instantly. And then you kind of like, when you launch anything, it's really important, obviously, to check and see its effectiveness. So we might do like a 7-day campaign. We might split it across, but maybe over 7 days, we then look at the data and check the messaging. But like, this is basically the first kind of 2-part offer. And then what I like doing after that is just thinking, okay, what's the next thing, right? It's not about this one deal. It's about increasing the lifetime value of the customer. So we've given strategy and critiqued the initial plan. Great. Now we need to deliver on it. And we also want to come back to the table with what you think you should do next. So when you're looking at the product, and we'll use this creator example again, then it'd say, okay, well, now that we have these profiles, well, how could we make it easier? Like, we've sent them this offer. We got to figure out what the offer is. We sent them an offer. Where are we driving them to? We probably need some sort of like squeeze page to start, or some sort of page where it's like, what's the thing we're trying to get them to do? We're trying to get them to sign up, right? So if possible, if we have all this information over here about them, and again, let's use creator economy / Linktree as an example of who we're trying to go up against. How do we make it easier? Well, let's say if it is creator economy, then I'd take their account info, so at ParkerX, and I would actually create the account on their behalf. So let's say it's a Linktree thing. Then I'd say, oh, here's ParkerX. We've already created their entire thing. It might say like unclaimed, or it might have like some sort of badge that's not like bad, but when the person comes in from that email, there might be like a token or something that You might not even need a token would be fancy, but, like, you want them to be able to come in and claim the account so that they're already ready to go and start using it without entering in, like, a credit card or anything. So this next step would be, like, the auto onboard feature, and the auto onboard feature would do it uses email matching to to authorize and claim a pre-built account. And you see this with other industries. So there's one called Carrot and Cake, I believe. Carrots and Cake, wedding venues, where they'll build this out for all the venues in the world, right? They've gone and they've scraped all these places, and some of them aren't listed. But it's great because if I click on one of these, then you'll see that it'll have /wedding / this is in the case of like somebody's actual wedding, but it will create these routes ahead of time and then they're just claimed. So if I typed in, let's say I'm going to pull up Google Maps, I just doxed myself, I'm in West Palm. If I pull up Google Maps and I typed in, let's find a church. I typed in Sacred Heart Catholic Church on this website, then it likely doesn't work with this company, but it likely has a page built out for it. So what was it called? Sacred Heart Catholic Church. Sacred Heart Catholic Church. Let's grab that. Let's see. Didn't find a venue. I can probably add it. I've seen this on many sites where it's basically like they will be listed on there, but then the person has yet to claim it. So that's a similar thing to what we'd be doing, is basically building these out on their behalf. They can go claim them. We can use that potentially if that was built out, and then you can actually take the preview of this and then put it back in the email. So I think that would make a lot of sense. So they could then go claim it. Maybe they get a 7-day trial, which isn't that great. It's not that great of an offer. So then the question you'd be asking is like, what's the aha moment? And the aha moment is the thing that keeps them coming back. For Twitter, early days Twitter, example of aha moments. At Twitter, they knew that if they could get you to follow 18 people, that you'd come back. Because they looked at their data, they knew that that was the thing that kept you coming back. In the case of Delivery Dudes, the food delivery startup that I talk about at the beginning of all the videos, we knew that if we did, I think it was like 5 deliveries in a row that were good, and good qualified by the time, like it was on time, the food was hot, then they'd come back, they'd be VIPs. So you're always trying to just convert the cold traffic, people that don't know you, and you're trying to move them along to be VIP. And that's done by delivering on this aha moment. So that would actually be something that I'd have questions on for the client, is questions, what's the aha moment? And depending on the scale of the company, how much data they're looking at, they might not know the answer. So then that's when you provide example and I talk about that stuff that we just did. And they're like, whoa, this guy's pro. So they say, what's that? Another question would be timeline. If you built number 3, which brings in the engineering stuff. But yeah, that's basically how I would think about doing this. So it's going to require a little bit more research, but yeah, it's some sort of list builder. We would use Apify. If it needed to get cleaned up, we might run it through GPT. We might get a VA, and then we'd use Instantly, and then would go back and ideally be sending them off to the site with some sort of funnel to convert them to paid users and those VIPs. So that will be what I end up sending to a client, right? It's like I'm going through, I'm breaking it down. That was basically the exploratory milestone, but that took 7 minutes. So because it's so simple, trying to build goodwill, then I wouldn't charge for something like that. Okay. Plan for TikTok. I wanted to talk about this. So how could we take videos that we know work in the marketplace and remix them? So let's start down here. TikTok, obviously, tons and tons of traffic, just absolutely murdering it. And I'm curious about how, like in my pipeline, what I'm thinking is the videos in my current pipeline are maybe not going to convert as well as if I did dedicated TikTok videos, but I don't have the time to write scripts. I don't have the time to think about it. So this is a hedge for those videos that would be auto-generated off of the long form stuff not working. So this is actually doing native content for it. So whether or not I do this is to be seen. But this would be sort of the TikTok slash short form remixer. And I just want to throw it out there. You steal like an artist, right? Everybody does this. So as we always do, we'll list out the steps. So the first step would be I would get my favorite 20 creators, favorite as defined by follower count slash viewership numbers. Are they doing well? I would do that. And then what I might actually do is I'm just wondering because favorite 20 creators, I'm wondering if I can pull top performing ones. Yeah, that's what I do. So I'd get those favorite 20 creators and I'd put their, let's see, favorite 20. So then I'd take the URL and the handle into G Sheets. When you're writing actionables, you're supposed to do just one per line. FYI. That's why to-dos can be scary sometimes. It's just not actually verb and then noun. It's not actually like one thing. Like saying build website is not one thing. So anyways, I put those into the G Sheets. Then I need to do some sort of download to Drive. Then I need to do Whisper, which is a transcript, Whisper to text. And then I need to do store text to Drive. And then I need to remix text to new script. And this remix step would be really, I think I would want to plus it up. So plus up text to, I want to make it better than theirs. So the way I'd plus it up is I would use a deep research. So Gemini, deep research to plus up, store deep research in G Drive. And then ultimately, you'd have a scriptwriter. from deep research to final. And in here, just as like a note for myself for the prompt, you'd have example scripts. Cool. Yeah. And then you'd store that back. I think that makes sense. So before we wrap, I'm running up on time. I think this makes a lot of sense. And then, yeah, so it'd be a G Sheets, it'd be a G Drive module, it'd be a Whisper module. I don't need to draw these. You get it. Yeah. So I'll add that to the ultimate list here for build outs. Then what did I want to finish with today? What do we have last? The content pipeline update. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's take a look. So I don't know if I made too much progress on this. Yeah, I didn't. I have not built that out just yet, but this will be coming soon and you'll be seeing the content from it. So I tried to build something yesterday that was like late at night, which is kind of fun, where you would automate a Twitter account that just says really stupid AI business ideas. But I got hung up on one part with auth. So no real changes here. I'll can that idea for now. And then when I have more progress, I'll talk about it. But hope you found this video helpful. I've got to get off to the next thing. If you have any questions, as you see in the video, I'll be covering them. And if you want to learn more, if you want to be part of a group of people that are actively using AI in the field and want to be a part of that, then go to our school community. If not, there's a bunch of free resources on my website, parkerx.com/blog. The whiteboard will be there. Any of the links that we cover in these videos will be here. And I'll see you in the next video.